You're going to be hauling out of the preseason game to catch the end of the game.
No doubt. Yep. Marcus and I have already had several conversations about the game. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens.
How much more confident do you feel out there as you continue to progress to, like, almost let it rip with you?
Yeah.
Like when you get out there.
Yeah, I think my development in the offense has been significant from the time I got here. Going back to when I was claimed and not really having an opportunity to learn the system. And I feel like this year, as my second training camp, my understanding of the offense has significantly increased. And I think every quarterback can talk about the game kind of slowing down, and you just have a better understanding of why we're doing what we're doing and why we're trying to attack what we're attacking. And I felt that this training camp for sure, which has been really big for me. It allowed me to play fast and just let it go.
And do you feel more conviction in your throws and your reads? And I mean, just take me through like your mindset, like where you feel it.
Yeah, look, I think early in your career too, I think there's a little hesitancy because you almost want to be perfect. That opportunities are going to be limited, and you're trying to make the most of every opportunity, but then not trying to make a mistake. And as a young undrafted player, like, that's not an easy thing to balance. And I think that going into year 3 for me, I felt more confident. Just overall with my position on the team and being able to just go out and play.
Are you convinced that you are one day a starting quarterback in this league? How do you feel about
I mean, I feel like I'm capable for sure. Yeah, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't feel that way.
Do you feel like the preseason has only cemented that thought in your head that you've made significant progress over the last?
Yeah, I've been really happy with the way that the preseason games have gone. I feel like we've moved the ball really well, and preseason games can kind of be a cluster at times, but I felt like we've managed it really well. And I think we've obviously had penalties that have been drive killers, but other than that, like we've moved the ball and we've scored points and we've gotten in positions to score, and so I've been really happy with the way that the preseason has gone. And again, I don't feel like I've needed that to feel how good I can be, and I've always felt that I could play in this league, but going out and having success definitely boosts confidence.
When you have an incumbent starter like Breeze, and obviously someone who's going to be in the Hall of Fame, as a backup, having someone know that's of a similar talent level like Teddy to yourself, how much does that continue to help you push yourself?
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, if you make it to this point in your career in the NFL, I think the ultimate competition is really with yourself, where you're trying to be as good as you possibly can, and there's different skill sets that every quarterback possesses, but I will say certainly, competition definitely brings out the best and, the competitive guys, and having the ability to learn from Drew, and then having a guy like Teddy that's a proven player and has been a starter in the league has certainly helped elevate everyone around him, and I've felt that.
2 years ago right now is when you got let go by Green Bay.
Yes.
Can you just kind of talk about that disappointment, and immediately you get another chance, which winds up being a blessing in disguise?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, look, we've talked about this before, going through the injuries that I did and going as an undrafted guy to go in and make a 53-man roster is not an easy thing to do. And I didn't know what was going to happen. Obviously, Green Bay was trying to sign me to the practice squad, and to be able to come down here, I think initially, like, I was obviously disappointed. I felt like I had gone and taken advantage of the opportunities that Green Bay presented for me, and then getting the call to come down here filled that disappointment with excitement. Knowing that I was going to have another adventure, another challenge down here, and then as you mentioned, this has been the best thing for me, and I've loved every second of being in New Orleans, working with Coach Payton and Drew and Coach Lombardi and Coach Carmichael and all those guys, it has been such a blessing for me.
Any of your old coaches at Green Bay, and I realize they've had regime change there, but told you they regretted not trying you out at kickoff return or special teams or anything like that?
No, I haven't talked to any of the coaches specifically about that. Coach Van Pelt, our QB coach, and I have exchanged messages a couple of times just in passing, and he's really been supportive, and he was a great resource when I was in Green Bay, and he still is that to this day.
Where do you stand on kickoff return?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Kickoff return, man. Where do you stand on that now? Is that still something you see as a...
Being a returner?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's so hard, going through training camp and the preseason. I obviously haven't played a lot of special teams. I've played one snap special teams this preseason, so I think some of that is still to be determined. But when you got a guy like, Deontay's has done a really nice job, so I'm really excited to be able to block for him, and but I'll do whatever they ask me to do.
Coach Payton obviously he's pretty famous for believing in quarterbacks who either have been injured or maybe undrafted, and not only extends to Breeze but yourself and Teddy. I just wonder how much he builds up behind closed doors y'all's confidence in y'all's ability to be able to overcome any obstacle or injury, and he seems to really be able to bring out that confidence in other players based on his belief in them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the ultimate sign of confidence is that he continues to create opportunities for you. So Coach doesn't need to say anything to me, but as he creates opportunities for me to play and do different things, like I know that he believes in me, and if he didn't, he wouldn't do that for me. And so that there doesn't need to be anything that's said to me, but as he does that, that's the telltale sign to me. So I'm certainly grateful for that, and I know that one thing that Coach I think has done really well since I've been here, better than most coaches I've been around, is he knows what guys are good at and he knows guys' weaknesses, and he's not going to ask a single player to do something that they're not good at or capable of doing. And so he's certainly done that with me and put me in the best situations to succeed, which I'm grateful for.
Seems like the last couple of weeks you and Dan Arnold have connected a good bit of times. Is there anything that he does specifically well, or that is kind of nice to have as a quarterback?
I mean, Dan's just a big target. He runs really well. And I would say a guy like Dan, for me, we started here at the same time, I believe. And so we were both young players, so he and I were the guys that would kind of stay behind after practice, and I'd throw to him so I could try and stay as sharp as I could with limited reps. And he obviously wanted to catch more balls, and so having a guy like that, where I feel like I've been with him for a couple of years, been throwing him balls, there's just a comfort level there, and he's a smart player, and he's where he's supposed to be.
I'm curious about a play from last week's game.
Okay.
Have you ever seen a screen pass broken up by your own teammate before?
I can't recall.
Pan to you laughing, so I was curious what was going through your head when that happened.
Look, I don't know. I was just I was surprised as you guys were when I saw it, and I think at that point all we could do was just laugh and on to the next, and it is what it is. I don't know what else to say.
What was it like in the film room when y'all watched that play?
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I've never been in that position. I think everyone just chalked it up to he just made a mental mistake, and we've all been there before, and certainly not something we're going to dwell on.
On a play that was executed a little better, against the Chargers, Austin said that touchdown pass to him is like 1 in 1,000 chances. Can you just go back to what you saw and how you were able to make that read so quickly?
Sure. Well, so we sent 4 receivers strong on that specific play, and we essentially send 2 to the flat, right? Austin was one of those guys, and then we had a running back out in the flat. And so I had conversations with Coach Lombardi because it was a new concept for us of how we were going to read it, and he would always say, make sure you see two guys relate to the flat. It was zone, and I saw the flat defender buzz out with Austin, and then I immediately saw his eyes turn to our running back. And so at that point, I just confirmed that the corner stayed with the outside guy, and then I knew there was going to be no one else to cover Austin. So it was an alert on the play. It wasn't an alert that we really talked about a lot as in the quarterback room, which is why Austin made that comment. But that's what I saw. I saw the flat defender buzz out with Austin, and immediately his eyes go back to our running back, which is why I threw it.
Taysom,
Has being Drew's teammate affected your outlook specifically on conditioning and training and maintenance, or because you have a different body type and you're a lot younger, do you just feel like you have to do your own thing?
No, 100%. I do what Drew does, and you could ask anybody here. I follow him around. I've adopted his schedule. I've adopted his workout routine, and I'll add a few things here and there just to make sure that I'm still capable of doing everything that I'll be asked to do throughout a season. But overall, man, I do what he does, and he's been doing it for a long time, and he's got a lot more experience than I do, and I've tried to take advantage of all of his experience and adopt that into my routine.
Do you think about, especially where you are in your career, you think about if that's helping his longevity? I need to.
No doubt. Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah. To how he studies for game, how he prepares for a game, both mentally and physically. There's obviously something there. I've adopted, Tom House is a guy that Drew works with regularly, and Tom will come out, and I've been able to since start working with Tom and incorporate that into all the things that I do as a quarterback, and it's been really good for me.
So you got 10 or 15 years left in this league then?
I hope so.
Hey, Taysom, during training camp, you get close to these players, but how tough is Saturday for you, just wondering who your 52 teammates are going to be? I mean, what's it like for you?
Yeah, I think it's something that you don't really think about until this week. It's a tough deal. Everyone talks about how difficult it is to make a 53-man roster, and it's a little somber, when you've gone through training camp with guys, and frankly, I was there. I sat in Coach McCarthy's office when he told me I deserved a 53-man spot, but just the way injuries went and the way that everything played out that year, there just wasn't one available for a third QB, and sometimes that's the way things go, and so it's certainly a somber, week, and there will be guys that deserve roster spots, but just for the nature of the business and injuries and everything else, they won't get one. So, there's that, and then I think as you start practicing, again, getting ready for Houston, that mind shift obviously transitions, and then there's a ton of excitement and buzz about getting to week one.
When did you start working with Tom House?
So John Beck, a former BYU quarterback, started working with Tom House, and then he connected me to Tom when I was in college. So I did a few things with Tom while I was in college, but excuse me, it really became a heavy part of my workout routine when I got here, and primarily it was because of Drew. Everything Drew does has a purpose, and weight room wise, the way we warm up and get ready for practice or game is all built in, and a lot of that stuff comes from Tom, and I've just adopted it all, and it's been a really good thing.
Taysom, Tom obviously does some unorthodox things. Were there any sort of weird things where you're throwing small footballs or throwing different objects that weren't?
So I would say there's nothing that really comes to my mind in terms of throwing Nerf balls or anything like that. I know the guys have gone through that have rehabbed from injury, but I would say that there are some unorthodox workouts, that I have done in terms of holding weights where we're not really throwing things, or you're using a towel that you're throwing, a towel without actually releasing the towel, and various things like that that I had never done before. But as you start to sit down and meet with Tom and Drew and they talk you through it, you know, it all makes sense. But yeah, those were all new concepts for me.
Why do you hold a towel and not throw it? Were you supposed to look at the way the towel moves?
No, it's just to add a little resistance, but it's lightweight. So the idea is, you know, you're using this towel, so you have a little resistance, but it's light, you know, and so you don't want to overload your arm, your shoulder, but you're still getting some work by holding something light, if that makes sense. That'd probably be a better question for Drew because he could talk you through all of the lingo.